Hi, I'm Katie Dutcher from Flourish and Bloom and Monterey Bay Meditation Studio. And today I'm wanting to follow up on last week's video, which was about cultivating ease in body, mind, and heart. So, just a little recap here. Um, Actually, as I listened back, I realized I talked a lot about unease. Which kind of makes sense. I talked a lot about unease, the kind of tendency that some of us, or many of us, have to clench. Maybe it's the shoulders or the neck, maybe it's the jaw, maybe it's tension in the head. But often, a lot of us have a kind of um, manifesting of unease or of constriction or clenching through our body. And then that kind of goes together with unease or hurry or constriction that we have in the mind and heart, like a manifestation of our stress or anxiety or fear. And so I talked a little bit about what this comes from. I think some of it comes from a sense of hurry, of scarcity, that there won't be enough time, energy, money, capability. And that's really where stress comes from, this idea that I won't have enough capability to be able to handle what is coming my way. And so I think it's in reaction to that stress or that scarcity that we then defend, clench, and we kind of move through the world in a more defensive stance. And what that does, I mean, the main thing is it doesn't feel good. It and it can lead to not just feeling stressed in that moment, but like a state of being that feels pushed and pressured and rushed and all of these kind of painful, uncomfortable sensations that we can have. So what I talked about is being aware that that's always step one, is beginning to be aware when there's constriction, whether this is in the mind, body, or heart, when there's unease. And then whenever you become aware of this, choosing, intentionally choosing, however you can do this, to soften or to release or to change that um, that belief in that moment of I don't have enough or I am not enough, and to flip that in some way to something that feels better and that probably is a little more true. And the idea is that choosing this again and again and again, we begin to reframe, we begin to um, really make larger changes into our way of being. And that does happen. I'll say it again. It does happen with little incremental choices again and again and again. And they stack up to create a new kind of identity or new way of being in the world. And so I talked about this leaning heavily on the side of what it feels like to not be at ease. And then we also had a meditation of cultivating rest and ease. And so, what I wanted to do today is to offer some more thoughts about how we can cultivate ease, what that looks like in a day to day way of being, or day to day choices, day to day awareness. I'm definitely in the process of, in fact, most things I talk about here, I'm in the process. And this is partly why I find it so interesting and necessary, is that almost every day, what I want is, what I think I want most is a sense of ease, a sense of spaciousness, calm. That is my desired state. And so then I may find myself looking ahead at the day, at what the tasks of the day are, and wishing, maybe that I had less work, or that this certain meeting wasn't happening or was later in the day. All these things where I'd like it to be the perfect day that looks easy, right? Or that looks mm, restful or orderly, slow. But here's the thing, of course, I cannot always design or choose the perfect day, right? So the question then becomes, can I find a way to go easy within the needs of that day? Can I find a way to rest within whatever I'm doing? So yeah, maybe I would love to take a nap or some big form of rest in that day, and maybe that isn't possible. So then it becomes not really about what I'm doing, but how I'm being. I'm going to say that again. It isn't so much about what we're doing as how we're being within it. So maybe it's not an intrinsically restful activity, but can we approach it with the qualities that we're desiring to cultivate? Can we approach it with intentionality and ease, a sense of peace? So that is what I would like to offer some ideas about. So one is I think about hurry. This idea, I think many of us see time as one of our big resources and it's kind of non-renewable that we have the time that we have. So we then find ourselves hurrying. Sometimes it's we need to hurry. We have to get somewhere, and it has to be on time. And other times it just becomes a habit to hurry. That let's say I associate the car with hurrying to one place or another. So every time I get in the car, I'm hurrying. And when I'm hurrying, there's a tensing there. There's always this sensation of wanting things to be different. Like, why did I get caught at this red light? Or why is this person, I've chosen the wrong lane because this person is going slowly in front of me. That is the kind of mindset that we have throughout the journey when we're feeling like we're in a hurry. So one of the things that I have been doing, I think I've been doing this for about 2 years now, and it has made a big difference. I really make an effort to leave the house when I'm going out in the car. I really make an effort to leave the house at the time that I would like to, and to really figure in a buffer of time, because then I don't have to be in a hurry. I used to often do one more thing before I left the house, which meant that when I would leave, I really had probably 5 minutes less than I needed. And so I was just tearing down the road. And that would be sometimes the worst part of my day. It's this really stressful feeling of I'm going to be late to this thing that I've committed to, and I was putting that on myself by choosing to do one more thing and to leave the house later. So that's one, is to put practices in place where you don't have to hurry as much. That also goes, just as a side note, that goes for our schedule. If we're able to plan in pauses between things, between activities, so that we don't feel like we have to push ourselves and be rushed, that if this thing goes over, then this thing will be delayed, to just put more ease into our schedule if we're able to do that. So the next thing, if we're thinking about habit of being in a hurry, is actually to start asking the question, am I really in a hurry? Do I have to hurry? A lot of times the answer is no. It's just a habit. And so I tell myself that. I just remind myself, remember, you're not in a hurry. Because again, sometimes I associate the car with being in a hurry. So when I tell myself that, I feel myself exhale a little bit, ease up a little bit in my muscles. So that's helpful to remind yourself when you don't have to be in a hurry. And sometimes, I mean, I don't like being late. I don't really like it when other people are late. And yet, is being late really the worst thing in every case? No, it isn't. Sometimes it's very much worth it to calm yourself, to drive safely and carefully and be a couple minutes late. So there's some options around hurrying. And I suppose one more would be, if you find that you do need to hurry, you do need to move quickly, is it possible to move quickly and in a relaxed way? So I mentioned last time my neck tensing all the time. Is it possible for me to move my legs fast down the street or on the gas pedal without getting my whole body tensed up into it? So there's a mindfulness practice as well. So that's quite a bit about hurrying. I think that's a big one for many of us. And you've probably also noticed that I like to repeat things. If something kind of makes an impression on me, a phrase, a question, I like to bring that and repeat it and play with it. So one might be, am I really in a hurry? That could be a phrase. Um, some other phrases, all is well. All is well. So we're looking for phrases that remind us and really invite us to embody ease. Last time I talked about this defensiveness of the body, of guardedness with tension as kind of an armor that we're putting on. So maybe a phrase like, lay down your armor, or it's okay to be soft. A phrase like, I am enough. I have enough. There is enough. So these kind of phrases to counteract that habit of scarcity, of clenching. And the phrase that seems to really come home for you might be different than any of these. Just noticing how your self-talk is, and these phrases are a way of intentionally creating a different kind of self-talk, and again, inviting that to become your habit. I also want to just mention that often what I'm talking about here is it has to do with our own choices. And I want to recognize too that we do spend our lives with other people, right? In our home, at work, with friends. And it is worth noticing what is the effect of others? How are you affected by the people that you are with? If you notice that part of this hurrying or unease is being influenced or kind of encouraged by the energy of another person, then that is interesting information to have. Maybe there is somebody you work with or live with who always seems to be in a hurry, who approaches a meeting like, okay, oh my gosh, what do we have to get done? We never have enough time. That that energy comes in, and then it's kind of like infects you, or it influences you. So again, it's worth being aware of that. It's worth being aware of when that is happening to you, especially if it's a pattern, if it's the same situation or it's the same person. And then what do we do about that? I think one thing that we do is, before going into the situation, we can touch base with ourselves, right? And really think about our own intention. What is my intention within this meeting or this interaction? How do I want to approach it? What's the energy I want to bring? So remembering that when we are in a group, each person has the opportunity to set a tone with their own energy, with their own words, their own approach. And so we can recognize and we can be responsible for the energy that we're bringing, and cultivating a peaceful, strong presence is a part of that. And then other ways to take responsibility for this, maybe actually to speak up for slowness, for a more restful, at ease way of being. So to say things like, if it's needed, to say something like, is it really necessary to make this decision today? Or um, maybe something like, what is the part of this agenda that must occur today? Or so this kind of prioritizing and wanting to focus in on what's important, and perhaps leave behind the kind of busy work, or the stuff that is piling on and making it too much. There's not a lot that I can say, I think, here in detail, because it all depends on your situation. But I guess I'm saying that we can advocate for for ease, and we can find ways to do that, that we're not saying, I don't want to do work, or that I'm lazy, or anything like that. But just, if you're noticing this kind of a false, unnecessary hurrying or pushing or forcing, that we can kind of call it out and question it wherever possible. And then the third thing about the effect of others is, again, taking responsibility if it really is affecting us negatively, the energy that others are bringing. Then thinking about setting boundaries. What are the boundaries? When are you willing to be with this energy, interact with this person, and when are you not? Like, maybe not on the weekend, or maybe um, only by phone and not email, or whatever boundary you feel comfortable setting and that feels possible for you, that helps you to maintain the way of being that you are desiring, and not always be drawn into a kind of energy that feels damaging or harmful for you. So sometimes that does mean limiting, or kind of shaping the way of contact with that person or that group, or just, it could just mean continually advocating for this other way of being, even if it isn't appreciated. um, Almost everyone desires more ease, and so in some way, you are, by setting boundaries, you are not being selfish. You're really influencing the kind of culture that you are a part of. And I think each of us has a right to do that. And in a lot of ways, it can be a gift to others as well, to be bringing a calming energy into the spaces where you interact. And finally, noticing, because a lot of the things I'm talking about here are choosing and kind of being aware, and then maybe changing your approach. But the last thing I would say is really beginning to notice when you are at ease, just naturally. Noticing when you feel calm, when you feel like you're rested, or that you're approaching something in the way that you want to approach it, when you're feeling like there's enough, like there's enough time, I'm capable of handling this. um, Maybe when you're feeling a softness in the body, letting yourself notice and take in those times of naturally being at ease. And and you might really notice that, like notice, what are the circumstances, what is contributing to this feeling of ease. Are there people that you're with that are somehow helping you to to integrate this feeling of spaciousness or restfulness. Just as folks can be influential with a hurrying or forceful energy, folks can also really help us to be grounded and calm with the way that they're approaching as well. So noticing that too, and appreciating it, just enjoying it when you are at ease. This is just as important as any kind of change or anything like that. So I said a lot of things. Was thinking about this morning and wrote a lot of notes, and then it was kind of funny because I was realizing I'm late. I wanted to start this video, and I'm like, interesting. Can you approach it with ease, Katie? And so this is very much something that is a practice, just like everything else. It's a practice of noticing, of choosing, of being intentional. And I really wish you well with it. If this is ever something you want to work on one, let me know. You can always comment or email me or anything like that, and let me know how this goes for you. I'm wishing us all a sense of ease and rest throughout whatever are the tasks and the needs of the day. Be well.